I never thought I'd be the guy telling a story like this. Betrayal? Sure. I've seen it in movies, read about it online, even had friends go through it. But me? No way. My marriage was solid. My best friend was like a brother to me, and I had no reason to believe my world would come crashing down the way it did. But life doesn't care about what you think you know. My name is Ethan, and I was married to Sarah for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but we were happy, or at least, that's what I believed. And then there was Mark, my best friend since college. We had been through everything together, bad breakups, career struggles, late-night talks about life. He was the one person I trusted the most outside of my marriage, which is why I didn't even notice the signs at first. It started small. Sarah and Mark had always been friendly, and I never thought much of it. But one day, I realized something strange. Sarah started laughing at his jokes a little too much. Not in the casual, friendly way, but in that playful, giggly, I want you to notice me way. Then there were the random texts. I'd be sitting next to Sarah on the couch, and her phone would buzz. She'd glance at it, smile slightly, and tilt the screen away from me. If I asked, she'd shrug. Oh, it's just Mark. He's asking about your birthday gift. At first, I believed her. Mark was my best friend, after all. Why would he ever do something shady? But then the little things started piling up. Sarah began dressing up even when she wasn't going anywhere special. She started spending more time on her phone, always texting someone, always quick to lock her screen when I walked by. Then came the worst part. Mark started acting weird, too. He stopped inviting me out as much, always making up excuses about being busy. When we did hang out, he seemed nervous, always checking his phone, avoiding eye contact. One night, while we were out for drinks, I jokingly said, "Dude, you've been weird lately. You got a secret girlfriend or something?" He laughed, but it wasn't the usual Mark laugh. It was forced. "Nah, man. Just work stuff. You know how it is." I let it slide. But deep down, something didn't sit right. Then, one evening, I walked into the room while Sarah was on her phone. She didn't hear me come in. And that's when I saw it. A message from Mark. And it wasn't about my birthday gift. It was something I wasn't supposed to see. I stood frozen for a second, my eyes locked on Sarah's phone screen. The message from Mark wasn't just a casual text. It was something I wasn't supposed to see, something that made my stomach drop. "Mark, I can't stop thinking about last night. When can we talk?" Last night? My mind raced, replaying everything from the previous evening. Sarah had told me she was exhausted and went to bed early. I had stayed up, watching TV, thinking she was asleep just a few rooms away. I looked at Sarah, sitting cross-legged on the couch, completely oblivious to the fact that I had just seen her secret. She was still texting, smiling slightly at her screen. That's when she noticed me standing there. "Oh," she said quickly, locking her phone and setting it face down on the table. "You scared me." I forced myself to stay calm. My heartbeat was hammering in my ears, my hands clenched at my sides. "Who was that?" I asked casually, even though I already knew the answer. She barely hesitated. "Just work stuff." "Lie." I nodded, acting like I believed her, but my brain was in overdrive. I needed proof. For the next few days, I watched. I paid attention. Every time Sarah's phone buzzed, she tilted the screen away from me. Every time she got up from the couch, she took her phone with her, even to the bathroom. And Mark? He had gone full ghost mode. No invites to hang out, no calls, no random check-ins. It was like he was avoiding me. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a weird coincidence. Something was going on. So I decided to do something I never thought I'd have to do. I went through her phone. I waited until she was asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand. My hands were shaking as I picked it up, unlocked it, and opened her messages. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were hundreds of messages. Flirty texts. Inside jokes I had never heard before. Late-night messages when she had supposedly been asleep. Then, I found the one message that made everything crash down around me. "Sarah, I wish I could be with you tonight instead." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I scrolled up, my hands shaking. "Mark, soon, baby. I hate sneaking around, but we have to be careful. Soon, baby." That was all I needed. I put the phone down carefully, even though I wanted to throw it against the wall. My body was on fire, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I looked at Sarah, peacefully sleeping, completely unaware that I knew everything. I had my proof. Now, I just needed to decide what to do next. I barely slept that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through every possible way to handle this. Do I wake her up and confront her right now? No. that would just lead to her denying it, lying to my face, trying to twist it into something innocent. Do I go straight to Mark and punch him in the face? Tempting. But that wouldn't change the fact that my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, had already chosen to betray me. I needed more than just proof. I needed a plan. By the time Sarah woke up, I had already decided what to do. "Morning," she said groggily, stretching beside me. "You okay? You look tired." I forced a smile. "Just didn't sleep well. Thinking about work stuff." She kissed my cheek. "Maybe we can do something fun this weekend. Take your mind off things?" I almost laughed. The audacity. I played it cool for the next few days, pretending like everything was fine. If she noticed anything different, she didn't show it. But I was watching her. I noticed how she smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. How she suddenly had errands to run, but came back home without any shopping bags. How she started wearing perfume even when she was just meeting a friend for coffee. I knew exactly what she was doing. So I set the trap. Step 1. Plant the bait. That Friday night, I casually mentioned that I had a business trip next weekend. It's last minute, I told her while scrolling on my laptop. "I'll be gone overnight." Her reaction was exactly what I expected. Her eyes flickered with something: excitement? Guilt? I couldn't tell, but she tried to play it off. "Oh, that sucks," she said, pouting. "Are you sure you have to go?" "Yeah," I lied. "Company needs me there." She nodded, her fingers tapping her phone absent-mindedly. Probably texting him. Step 2. Set the stage. The night of my trip, I packed a small bag, kissed Sarah goodbye, and walked out the door like everything was normal. I didn't go far. I drove down the street, parked in an empty lot, and waited. Then, at exactly 10:13 p.m., my phone buzzed. Home security alert. Front door opened. She wasn't wasting any time. I opened the security app and switched to the live camera feed. And there he was, Mark, walking into my house like he owned the place. Like he hadn't just betrayed his best friend. Sarah greeted him with a hug, a little too long, a little too intimate. They stood in the hallway for a moment, laughing about something, before she grabbed his hand and led him into our bedroom. Our bedroom. I felt my entire body go cold. I already knew she was cheating, but seeing it happen in real time was something else entirely. I clenched my fists, took a deep breath, and then did the only thing left to do. I hit record. I sat in my car, gripping my phone so tightly I thought I might crack the screen. The live feed from my home security camera was still rolling, showing Mark and Sarah in my bedroom, our bedroom. I could feel my pulse in my ears, a mixture of rage, disgust, and betrayal boiling inside me. I could storm in right now, catch them in the act, watch their faces twist in shock. But that would be too easy. I wanted them to feel the same gut-wrenching pain I felt. I stopped the recording and saved it. This wasn't just for me, this was for proof. Because I knew Sarah. She'd lie, twist the story, play the victim. Not this time. This time, I had receipts. I took a deep breath, pulling out my second phone, the one I never used except for emergencies. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the person I needed. Sarah's parents. They had always loved me, treated me like their own son. If I was about to burn everything down, I wasn't doing it alone. I hit dial. Her mom answered after a few rings. "Ethan? Hey, sweetie. What's going on?" I kept my voice calm. "Hey, I hate to call this late, but I need you and Mr. Carter to come over to my place right now. It's about Sarah." She immediately sounded worried. "Oh my God, is everything okay?" "Not really," I said flatly. "But you need to see it for yourselves." There was a pause. Then, "We're on our way." I hung up. Step 1, done. Now for step 2. I scrolled to another number and hit call. Mark's girlfriend. Yep. He wasn't just betraying me, he was betraying her too. She answered on the second ring. "Ethan? Hey, what's up?" I took a deep breath. "Listen, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to say it straight. Your boyfriend Mark is at my house right now, screwing my wife." Silence. Then, a shaky laugh. "What? No. Mark's at home." I smiled coldly. "No, he's not. I sent her the video proof." 30 seconds later, she responded. "I'm on my way." Good. Now the stage was set. I pulled into my driveway about 10 minutes later, my heart pounding but my mind clearer than ever. This wasn't just about catching them in the act. This was about showing them they had nowhere left to hide. Sarah's parents were already waiting for me. Her mother looked worried, glancing at my face for any clues. "Ethan, what's going on?" I didn't say a word. Instead, I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and handed it to her. She looked confused at first, then pressed play. The video started rolling. Sarah, welcoming Mark into our home. The way they laughed, the way she leaned into him so comfortably, like this wasn't the first time. Her mother gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. Her father's expression darkened, his jaw tightening as he clenched his fists. "Tell me this isn't what I think it is," he muttered, already knowing the answer. Mark's girlfriend, who had driven separately, arrived right after. I had sent her the same video just before pulling up, and when she stepped out of her car, she was shaking with rage. "He told me he was working late," she spat, gripping her phone so tightly I thought she might break it. She looked up at me, eyes burning. "Let's end this." I nodded and walked to the front door. No hesitation. No second-guessing. I knocked once. Hard. Inside, I heard footsteps, and then a pause. I could almost picture the look of panic on Sarah's face. Seconds later, the door opened. Sarah stood there, wrapped in a robe, her smile vanishing the second she saw who was standing in front of her. Her mother, her father, me, and then, behind me, Mark's girlfriend. Her face went pale. "Ethan? Mom? Dad? What?" I didn't let her finish. I stepped past her and walked straight into the house. And there he was, Mark, standing in the middle of my living room, shirtless, completely frozen in place like a deer caught in headlights. Nobody spoke. The silence in the room was suffocating. Sarah took a step inside, eyes darting between me and her parents, her hands shaking. "Ethan, save it." I cut her off, my voice dangerously calm. "I already know everything." Mark swallowed hard. "Man, listen, I turned to face him, shaking my head slowly. "No, you don't get to talk. You don't get to say a damn thing." Sarah's mother suddenly burst into tears, covering her face as reality set in. "Sarah, tell me this isn't real." Sarah was shaking. "Mom, Her father, who had been silent until now, suddenly slammed his fist on the table, making everyone jump. "Are you kidding me, Sarah?" His voice boomed through the house, the kind of anger that only comes from pure disappointment. Sarah flinched, tears spilling down her face, but I didn't care. I wasn't here for her excuses. I pulled out my phone, opened the security footage, and cast it to the TV. And there it was. Proof. Sarah and Mark, walking into my house like they had done this 100 times before. The laughing, the lingering touches, the kiss. Mark's girlfriend let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head in disbelief. "Wow. You know what? You're both disgusting." Sarah sank onto the couch, sobbing into her hands, but nobody moved to comfort her. Mark's girlfriend stepped forward, looking him dead in the eye. "You are the biggest mistake of my life." Then, before anyone could react, she slapped him across the face, hard. The sound echoed through the room. Sarah gasped. Mark stumbled back, holding his cheek, too stunned to react. And I just stood there, watching it all unfold with a sense of finality. Sarah's father turned to her, his voice like ice. "You don't deserve this home. Pack a bag. You're leaving." Sarah looked at me, pure desperation in her eyes. "Ethan, please, don't do this." I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "You already did this, Sarah." Her mother shook her head, eyes filled with disappointment. "I can't even look at you right now." Sarah's entire body shook with sobs as she realized no one was on her side. I turned to Mark, who was still standing there like an idiot, rubbing his jaw. "You need to leave. Now." He hesitated for half a second, then nodded, avoiding everyone's eyes. He grabbed his shirt off the floor and bolted toward the door, but just as he stepped outside, I called out, "Hey, Mark." He stopped, turning slightly. I smirked. "We're done, by the way. Don't ever call me again." His face twisted in something between shame and regret, but I didn't care. I had won. I turned back to Sarah. "I want you out by morning." She collapsed in on herself, her sobs the only sound filling the now empty house. But I wasn't going to sit here and listen to them. Without another word, I grabbed my car keys and walked out the door. The moment I stepped outside, I took a deep breath. And for the first time in weeks, it didn't hurt. I wasn't just free. I was finally alive again. I drove around for a while, letting the cool night air calm the storm still raging inside me. My hands gripped the wheel tightly, knuckles white, as I replayed everything that had just happened. The confrontation, the slap, Sarah's pathetic excuses, it was all burned into my memory. I should have felt empty. I should have felt broken. But instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. The weight that had been pressing on my chest for weeks was finally gone. The lies, the sneaking around, the gut-wrenching suspicion that something was wrong, it was all over. I had my truth. And now, I had my freedom. I pulled into a gas station, needing a moment to breathe. Sitting in my car under the dim lights, I checked my phone. Missed calls, 3, Sarah. New messages, Sarah. I hesitated, then tapped to open them. Sarah, please, Ethan. Can we talk? Sarah, I know I messed up. I just want to explain. Sarah, I don't want to lose you like this. I stared at the words on the screen. She still didn't get it. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. I took a deep breath, then typed out my only response. Me, you lost me a long time ago. We're done. I hit send and blocked her number. There was nothing left to say. The next morning, I went back home to finish what I started. When I walked through the front door, the house was eerily silent. No sign of Sarah. But as I stepped into the bedroom, I saw her suitcase sitting by the door. She had packed. Good. She must have heard me come in because a second later, she appeared from the bathroom, her face puffy from crying. She was still wearing the same robe from last night, looking smaller, more fragile than I had ever seen her. I didn't care. She looked at me like she wanted to say something, but I beat her to it. I see you packed. She nodded slowly. Yeah. I crossed my arms. Good. Then you should have no problem leaving. Her lip trembled. Ethan, please. Can we just talk? One last time. I exhaled sharply. Talk about what, Sarah? How you spent months lying to me. How you betrayed me with my best friend. Or how you let him into our home like I wouldn't find out. She winced at my words, but I wasn't about to soften them. She stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I was stupid. I wasn't thinking. I laughed bitterly. Oh, you were thinking, Sarah. You were thinking every single time you texted him behind my back. Every time you lied about where you were. Every time you let him touch you. Don't act like this was some accident. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but I refused to feel bad for her. She had chosen this. I don't expect you to forgive me, she whispered. But I need you to know. I never stopped loving you. I stared at her for a long moment before shaking my head. That's the saddest part, Sarah. You think this is love? I let out a cold chuckle. You don't love me. If you did, you never would have done this. She sobbed harder, but I didn't stick around to watch. I grabbed her suitcase, walked to the front door, and held it open. Time to go. She hesitated, then grabbed the handle and walked out of my life. I shut the door behind her. And just like that, it was over. The second the door shut behind Sarah, the weight I had been carrying for weeks finally lifted. I leaned against the door for a moment, letting out a slow breath. It was done. No more sneaking around, no more lies, no more wondering if I was crazy for suspecting something. Now, it was just me. The house felt different. It wasn't just empty, it was mine again. No lingering scent of Sarah's perfume, no more tension in the air. But there were still traces of her everywhere. Her favorite coffee mug on the counter. Her stupid throw blanket on the couch. The framed photos of us smiling like we had a future. I walked straight to the bedroom and ripped those photos off the wall. One by one, I pulled them from the frames and tossed them into the trash. Every happy moment I thought we had? Gone. Then I tackled the bed. The sheets had to go. I stripped everything down, yanked off the pillowcases, and stuffed them into a garbage bag. No way in hell was I sleeping in the same bed where she had probably thought about him. Next, I went into the closet. It was mostly empty now that she had packed, but she had left behind a few things, probably hoping she'd have an excuse to come back for them. A sweater. A pair of shoes. Some of her expensive beauty products. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed a second trash bag and dumped it all in. By the time I was done, I had cleared every trace of her from the house. The only thing left was the silence. And this time, it didn't feel suffocating. It felt like a clean slate. I grabbed my keys, drove to the nearest dumpster, and tossed everything. Goodbye, Sarah. That night, for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. No tossing and turning, no nightmares, no waking up in the middle of the night wondering where she was. When I woke up, I felt lighter. I got up, made myself breakfast, and actually enjoyed it. Not because I was forcing myself to move on, but because I already had. That's when I realized something. Sarah had spent months sneaking around behind my back, and for what? Some temporary thrill? A fling that wasn't even worth it? She had lost everything. But me? I had lost nothing. If anything, I had just gotten my life back. The days after Sarah left felt surreal. It was like waking up from a long, exhausting nightmare and realizing I was finally awake. No more pretending everything was fine. No more looking over my shoulder. At first, I wasn't sure what to do with myself. For 6 years, my life had revolved around us. Our routines, our plans, our future. Now it was just me. And honestly, that was the best thing that could have happened. I started making small changes. First, I rearranged the apartment. The couch, the bed, the decorations, everything that reminded me of her had to be moved or replaced. I wasn't going to let my home feel like a shrine to my failed marriage. Then, I started focusing on myself. I hit the gym harder than ever. I wasn't just working out to distract myself. I was working out because I wanted to be better, stronger, more in control. Every rep, every drop of sweat felt like I was shedding the weight of the past. I started eating better, sleeping better, and actually enjoying my own company. And then came the biggest change of all. I finally texted my friends back. For months, I had been distant, ignoring invitations, isolating myself because I was too busy dealing with Sarah's bullshit. But now, I was done hiding. I messaged my best friend, Matt, the one I had been avoiding ever since I suspected Sarah was cheating. Me. Hey man, I know I've been MIA, but if you're free this weekend, let's grab a drink. A minute later, my phone buzzed. Matt. Holy SHD, you're alive. Damn right, let's go. I need to hear everything. Asterisk. I smirked. That's exactly what I needed. That Saturday, I walked into the bar feeling lighter than I had in years. No stress. No guilt. No lies weighing me down. Just me, finally living my own life. Matt spotted me from across the room and waved. Dude, I was starting to think you joined a cult or something. I laughed, shaking my head. Nah, just had some tea to take care of. We sat down, ordered drinks, and for the first time in months, I felt normal. We talked about everything, work, sports, stupid college stories. And then, inevitably, he asked the question. So, what the hell happened with Sarah? I took a sip of my drink, leaned back, and smiled. She cheated, I said simply. With Mark. Matt nearly choked on his beer. Wait, Mark? I nodded. Yup. Your Mark? He asked, still in disbelief. Not my Mark anymore. Matt shook his head, muttering a string of curses under his breath. Dude, I knew she was acting weird, but I never thought she'd pull that *T. I shrugged. Neither did I. But hey, her loss. And I meant it. Because sitting there, drinking with my best friend, not giving a damn about Sarah anymore, I realized something. She had spent months sneaking around, risking everything, throwing away our marriage for something temporary. Meanwhile, I had just stepped into the best years of my life. She was the one who lost. And I had finally won. Waking up the next morning, I felt different. Not in a dramatic, life-changing way, but in the quiet, steady realization that for the first time in months, maybe even years, I didn't feel trapped. I didn't wake up wondering what Sarah was hiding. I didn't feel the weight of unanswered questions pressing down on my chest. I didn't even check my phone, expecting some desperate text from her. Instead, I got up, made a strong cup of coffee, and sat on my balcony, just enjoying the morning. That's when I realized something. For so long, I had been holding on to my marriage like it was something sacred. I had poured everything I had into it, convinced that if I just tried hard enough, if I just trusted Sarah enough, everything would be okay. But the truth? It was never okay. She had made her choices long before I ever found out. The moment she let Mark into her heart, she had already pushed me out of it. And for what? A cheap thrill? A few months of sneaking around? She had destroyed everything. And in the end, I didn't even care anymore. I checked my phone out of habit, scrolling through old messages. Then, without hesitation, I deleted them all. No more rereading. No more wondering. No more Sarah. It was time to move forward. That night, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I went out alone. Not with Matt. Not with work friends. Just me. I found a quiet bar, grabbed a drink, and just existed. No pressure. No expectations. No one to impress. And for the first time, I liked it. I wasn't drowning my sorrows. I wasn't forcing myself to move on. I was already there. Halfway through my drink, someone sat down next to me. She was gorgeous, but not in the obvious, Instagram filter kind of way. She had that effortless, laid-back confidence that made her stand out in a room. She glanced at me, smirking. You've been sitting here for 20 minutes, and you haven't checked your phone once. That's rare. I chuckled. Maybe I'm just old school. She raised an eyebrow. Or maybe you just got out of a relationship. I laughed. That obvious? She shrugged, taking a sip of her drink. A little. But at least you don't look miserable about it. I thought about that for a second. And you know what? She was right. I wasn't miserable. I wasn't bitter. I was just free. And maybe, just maybe, I was ready for whatever came next. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking back. Sitting in that bar, talking to a woman whose name I didn't even know yet, I realized that Sarah no longer mattered. Her betrayal, her lies, the way she and Mark snuck around behind my back, none of it had any weight in my life anymore. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. The woman next to me smirked. So, tell me, what's your story? I thought about that for a moment. I could tell her everything, the cheating, the heartbreak, the revenge, the confrontation. I could lay it all out and watch her react in shock, the way people always do when they hear a crazy story. But instead, I took a sip of my drink and said, I'm just a guy enjoying his first night of real freedom. She smiled. I like that. And you know what? So did I. The next morning, I woke up with no regrets. Not about going out. Not about meeting someone new. And especially not about letting Sarah go. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I had survived the worst heartbreak of my life, and I had come out stronger. I had spent so much time thinking I needed closure, thinking I needed an apology, or a final explanation. But the truth? I didn't need anything from Sarah. She was the one who lost everything. Me? I had just gained my whole life back. I stepped outside onto my balcony, sipping my coffee, feeling lighter than ever. For the first time in years, my future was mine to write. And as I watched the sun rise over the city, I realized one thing. I couldn't wait to see what happened next.